Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another ranking video for you, and today we're going to be ranking my entire blush collection. This is going to be a long one, and this was a hard one, I'm not gonna lie. I have done some declutters in the past, a couple like month, 2 months, and I feel like every blush that I currently have in my collection I would be unwilling to part with. Like, I truly do love all the blushes in my collection. I really have come to learn over this last year that I really enjoy blush and I like having options in my blush collection. So this is gonna be a doozy. I think I have 32 blushes still in my collection, which is a lot. So if you guys are interested, oh, I forgot to mention it. The first person I saw do the ranking style video was Kelsey Brianna J. She was ranking either Natasha Denona or like Pat McGrath palettes. And then I know there's tons of other YouTubers that do ranking style videos. Kelly Gooch ranked her entire makeup collection. So any of my favorite ranking channels or ranking videos, I'll leave linked for you guys down below. If you're interested in seeing me rank my blush collection, then stay tuned. First, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you consider doing so before you go. I post videos every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, like I said, this was really hard for me, and every single blush in my collection, I really do like the formula, or I like it for one reason or another. I was looking, and like my top 15 honestly are like I love them. So if I mention a blush that like lower in the line and you're like, well, I've heard you say that like that's a favorite blush formula of yours, it truly is. I really struggled to rank my blush collection, but we're gonna go from the worst all the way to my number one blush, starting with my Flower Blush Bomb. This is a liquid blush, and that's why this is ranking at the bottom for me. So I just don't really enjoy using liquid blush formulas. I can do like a cream from time to time, but liquid is really hard. This is in the shade Pinched, so it is a very subtle blush, which is why I do enjoy this. I can get away with it because it is easier to work with because it's such a like neutral sort of blush shade. So for the summertime, I think that this is great. Again, I don't want to declutter this, but if I'm thinking like of all the blushes in my collection, which one would I pick last, it would be this one. Next up, I have this blush from NYX. This is in the shade Amber. This is their high definition blush, and this is what Amber looks like. And the reason I'm ranking this so low is just because this is like a basic blush. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it swatched. It's just a really basic shade, and I have shades similar to this in my collection that I prefer the formula just a little bit more, so that would be why this is ranking at number 31. Coming in at number 30, I have the Milani Coral Cove powder blush. This is the one with like the rose imprint, and this is just like obviously a pretty intense shade. You can really blend this out to be not so intense on the cheeks, but I really only get use out of this in the summertime, which is why I'm ranking this one towards the bottom, because I just don't get a ton of use out of it. Really enjoy this Milani formula. I've talked about this in the past as being a formula that I do really like, and I stand by that. Again, I just find this shade not to be wearable like all season long. Next, I have this Tarte blush. I just have the mini, and this is in the shade Concept. Now this is a pretty neutral, or a really neutral blush, but it does have just micro flecks of glitter in it, so that is why I'm ranking this one where it is. Still really beautiful blush, but I typically prefer like either a matte blush or like a glowy blush, and I feel like this is like a matte blush with glitter flecks in it, so that's why that one's ranking where it is. Next, I have another Milani blush. This is another one of the rose printed ones. Again, you guys, I do really enjoy this blush formula, but for me, this one in particular is just super light. I don't even know that you'll be able to see it swatched above Concept. It's just a super neutral blush, so sometimes it doesn't give me enough of a flush to the cheeks, so I find myself reaching for other blushes over this. Again, I wouldn't want to declutter, but this one is going to rank at, I think, number 28. This next blush is more of like a blush topper. This is from MAC. It's one of their extra dimension blushes, and it's in the shade Fairly Precious. And this one is almost like a highlight, as you can hopefully see. So it's more of like, again, a blush topper. I use this in the summertime to give me like a hint of like a sun-kissed, sunburned sort of a look, and I really like it in the summertime, but that's really the only time that I use it. And it's not like I'm reaching for it a ton, because I don't always want to have like super shiny cheeks. So that's why that one's ranking here. Next up I have a Becca Luminous blush, and this is in the shade Snapdragon. Now I do really enjoy the Becca blush formula, but this one again is just very, very vibrant and a little bit more difficult to work with. I find the Becca blush formula a little bit difficult to work with because it is so pigmented. You have to be very careful and go in with a super light hand, and this shade in particular is just so bright that sometimes it doesn't work for my skin tone or my complexion, especially if I go just like a hair too heavy-handed. So that would be my number 27. Next I have another blush from NYX. This is one of their ombre blushes, and this is in the shade Strictly Chic, which is this beautiful coral. I really do enjoy this blush, but again, this is one that I really only get use out of in the summertime, so that is why this one is ranking towards the bottom. I used to have the like Mauve Me, I think is what it was called, but that had more of a shimmer to it. If you look closely at this, it does look like it has little micro flecks of glitter in this as well. Again, I'm not a huge fan of that. Let me see if I can, I don't want to swatch every blush, we'll be here for days, but this is a beautiful, beautiful coral blush. I love corally blushes in the summertime, so I do like to pull this out in the summer, but that's about the only time it gets used. Next up, I actually have a blush from Natasha Denona. Now, this is one of her blush duos, and for me, this is more of a shade thing. I wish I had gone with a different shade because I really don't get a lot of use out of this blush right here. Sometimes I'll pop this like on top of this to make it like an even lighter pink. This gives like more of like a shimmery sheen to the cheeks, so I do like to use this honestly in the spring and the summer. I can go in with this neutral shade if I want like just like the tiniest hint of color, but I'm curious if I would have enjoyed a different duo better. I purchased this like pretty early on in my makeup collecting phase, and I don't know, I don't know what I was thinking, but I kind of wish I would have picked a different shade. Next up I have the Butter Blush by Physicians Formula, and I have mine in the shade Plum Rose, and I thought that this was not going to give me much for pigment at all, and honestly swatched, it doesn't really look like it is, but on the cheeks I think that this is beautiful. It gives me like a beautiful mauve sort of vibe, and I love reaching for this in the winter time. I was really surprised by this because this I felt like didn't get very positive reviews, but I actually really enjoyed this. Coming in at number 22, I have my Wet n Wild Color Icon Ombre Blush in the Princess Daiquiris. Another blush that I really do enjoy using, and I was reaching for this a ton again in the winter time. This reminds me quite a bit, I don't know if you'll be able to see again, quite a bit of that Physicians Formula blush, but this one's just a hair more pink. This again is another blush that I truly do love and would not want to get rid of. I would repurchase this if I lost this. There's so many other blushes that I also love in my collection. This one, I feel like this ranking video was my hardest yet. I feel like just because it's just so hard to choose. I don't know why this one's so difficult. Coming in at number 21, I have a MAC blush. This is in the shade Melba, and this is just like your basic, you won't even be able to see the swatch, which is why this one's ranking so low. It's just like a really basic neutral rosy sort of shade. This one is pressed a little bit too firm in my opinion, and I find it really hard to get a pigmented look out of this. Now I don't know if I get like deeper into the pan if I'll find it easier to use, but this one would rank higher. I really do love just like the neutral shade of it, but I find the formula a little bit difficult to work with. Next up I have another little Tarte Mini. This one is in the shade Quirky, and this is just a beautiful coral shade. I brought this with me on vacation at the beginning of May, and I really loved it. It's like a beautiful peachy pink sort of shade, and I think it's again beautiful for the summertime. This is another one that really only gets used for me in the spring summertime, which is why it's ranking at number 20, but still a beautiful blush, and really do enjoy the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea formula. I think it's a great formula, so can't go wrong there. Coming in at number 19, pretty much every single blush from now on is like, even some of these were like, can you guys tell how hard of a time I'm having with this? Loves of mine. Like I would pretty much replace every blush in my collection, I swear, if I lost it. This is from Ciate London. This is in the shade Summer Love. I forget what they called these, but these were like kind of shimmery blushes. I'm running out of room to swatch, And this one is another beautiful like pinky sort of coral blush, but this has a bit of a sheen to it. So I love reaching for this in the summertime because it gives me nice glowy cheeks, which I do like from time to time. Another great blush. Would be interested in trying more shades of this one for the summertime. Okay, next up is a formula that I absolutely love, and I have another one of these coming in ranking higher, but this one is a shade thing for me. This is the Clinique Cheek Pop in the shade Ginger Pop, and I absolutely love the Clinique Cheek Pop formula. If you guys are looking for like a mid-range priced blush, there it is swatched right there. But a really great formula. I would highly recommend the Clinique Cheek Pops. This one's just a little bit too bright for me, which is why I'm ranking it where I am. I feel like when these like really bright blushes I really struggle with, just because, you know, I'm usually very fair and I prefer more coral or neutral blushes, but it's always great to have a pop of color from time to time, and this is a phenomenal blush formula. I think we're at number 17, and this is my Laura Geller Baked Blush and Brighten blush in the shade Tropic Hues. I really do enjoy the Laura Geller baked blushes. There it is swatched right there. This is another really beautiful one for the summertime. This is going to give you very glowy cheeks, so if you only like matte blushes, I would definitely skip, but I actually kind of want to pull this. I definitely want to pull this out during my next Shop My Stash because it is just so beautiful, and I've been really into the glowy cheek sort of vibe lately, so really enjoy the Laura Geller baked blushes. I highly recommend checking out if you like glowy cheeks. Coming in at number 16, I have this little Milk Makeup stick blush, and this is in the shade, I think it's in the shade Work. I don't see it on here. This shade I am seriously obsessed with. This is one I feel like kind of gives me like more fall vibes, but another one that I feel like you could kind of get away with all year long. I want to try the technique where you like put your blush and like your cream blush, bronzer and highlight on, and then you put your foundation over it. I might have to try that this weekend. But would highly recommend the Milk Makeup Stick blush formula. I think it's super easy to work with. I know I've said this a number of times, but I really want to pick up the baked bronzer from Milk because I do prefer, or I do like, using cream formulas in the summertime. Next on my list is another formula that I absolutely love. It is the Flower Beauty Flower Pots blush. This one is in the shade Sweet Pea. I have nothing bad to say about this blush. Beautiful mauve tone color. I do only get use out of this really in the fall winter time, which is why this is ranking at number, I was like lower, but like I think number 16, 15, ranking at number 15. A great blush formula from the drugstore. I believe these retail for $9.99. Would highly recommend. I have another one ranking a little bit higher, so we'll get to that, but absolutely enjoy it. But absolutely love that blush formula. Next up I have from The Balm, their Balm Springs blush, and for this I love the shade of this. Just absolutely love it. Beautiful. This is one I feel like you could get away with all year long. I personally like to reach for this more in the spring summertime. This is a super long lasting blush formula, so if you're looking for something that's gonna stay pigmented on your cheeks for a really long time, would definitely recommend checking this out. Coming in at number 13, I have another Becca blush here. This is in the shade Wild Honey, and I love shades like this. I don't even know if you'll be able to see that swatch, but it's just a beautiful nude blush. This has like a very slight sheen to it, so it's just going to give you like a hint of a glow, which I again really enjoy out of my blushes. Would definitely recommend this one. Would definitely repurchase this if it got lost. Next up I have an Hourglass blush to talk about. This is in the shade Euphoric Fusion, and I don't know if you'll be able to even see this swatch. This honestly swatched looks like it's going to be more of like a highlight, and this is definitely a glowy blush, so if you don't like glowy you should stay away from this. But this actually gives me some good pigment to the cheeks and just gives me such a like sun washed sort of vibe to the skin. I absolutely love wearing this in the summertime. This is another sort of seasonal sort of blush for me. I really only get use out of this in the spring summer. Still a phenomenal blush. I love the Hourglass blush formula, so you really can't go wrong. Number 12 is the other Flower Beauty blush that I wanted to talk about. Now this one I believe could be a dupe for the NARS Orgasm. There it is swatched right here. I hope you can see it. This is another glowy blush. It's just a beautiful pink shade with almost like a little bit of like a golden sort of shimmer to it, but not like glittery. Very beautiful blush. I reached for this so often last spring, and I'm definitely going to be pulling this into a recent Shop My Stash because I cannot wait to get some good use out of this summer. Next up, I have another blush from MAC. This is one of their mineralized blushes, and this is in the shade Warm Soul, which looks like this. Again, this is another just like pretty neutral sort of blush. It has some shimmer, a sheen to it. I wiped the swatches off. So this is definitely going to give you very glowy cheeks, and this is more of like a corally orange sort of blush. Love this blush. I think it's beautiful. So that would be my number 10. Oh, we're in the top 10 now. Sweet. I love all my top 10s. But I love my whole collection. Coming in at number 9 is a very new blush to me, and this is actually a blush duo. This is from Cover FX. I have mine in the shade Warm Honey. Looks like this. One side you have a matte blush, and the other side you have like a shimmery side, so you can pair them together. You can make like a very glowy cheek. Love that this gives the option, like you could wear this in the winter time as a matte blush, and then you can pull out the shimmery side in the summer and give yourself very glowy cheeks. So love the versatility of this and have been really impressed by this duo. I definitely I want to pick up the bronzer and a few more blush shades. Next up, another Becca blush. This is an OG holy grail. This is in the shade Flower Child. This is one of the Becca mineral blushes. This one is pretty similar to that Flower Beauty blush as well. This one, the only gripe I have against this again is that if you go too heavy-handed, you can get a little bit too pigmented a little bit too quickly, but still a beautiful blush, and one that I'm very pleased to have in my collection. And then my last Becca blush is actually coming in at number 7. This is in the shade Songbird. This is like a mix between Wild Honey and Flower Child, as you can see right here. Again, another very glowy blush. Shoot, I think I would actually change Songbird, or no, yeah, Songbird and Wild Honey, whereas I would rank Songbird where I ranked Wild Honey, and Wild Honey where Songbird's ranking, just because this isn't always the most wearable. And then if you remember, Wild Honey right here is like this beautiful neutral, so I would switch those. I screwed that up, but still love both of those blushes. Again, I really do enjoy the Becca blush formula. It's just a little pigmented, which can be a really great thing. Coming in at number 6, I have my Essence Satin Touch blush. Now this is currently going in my 19 in 2019, and this is a super wearable blush for me. Just a beautiful neutral light rosy toned pink, very easy to blend, and very affordable blush. I think their blushes are $2.99. Would definitely recommend. I think they may only have one other shade in their line, so it's not like they have the largest selection, but really happy with my purchase on this. I've worn this so much this year, let me tell you. Coming in at number 5, I have my Tarte Partey blush. I feel like everyone knows about this blush because it was a birthday gift from Sephora a couple years ago. Here it is right here. It's just such a beautiful, again, wearable. You can get away with this all season long. Such a wearable, beautiful blush. I really do enjoy the formula. This is a staple. You can't go wrong. Coming in at number 4 is my other Clinique Cheek Pop. This is in the shade Fig Pop, and I just really love this shade. It's a rosy, not brown toned, but like, I don't know. I'm horrible at describing things, but I just really love this shade. This is one I feel like I can get away with all summer long. It almost looks a little bit glowy, but there's not any sort of like glitter or anything in this. So again, you guys, Clinique Cheek Pop formula is phenomenal. I really want to get the nude pop because I just love nude blushes. Next up is another blush duo. This is from Jouer, and this is in the shade Adore Me. And I've had this in my collection now, I believe, since the fall VIV sale of last year, and I didn't use it a ton until recently, but I have really been enjoying this. You get 2 blushes, obviously. This one is very neutral, but it's still beautiful on my, but it still works on my skin tone, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. And then I love this shade right here. This is such a beautiful shade all year round, but I've been enjoying it for the summertime as well. So Highly recommend the Jouer blush duos. I know I personally would love to pick up another one. Okay, coming in at number 2 is another Hourglass blush. This is my Mood Exposure blush, and I seriously love this blush, you guys. This is one I feel like I can wear all summer long. It looks super mauve swatched, but I feel like it looks more rosy on the cheeks. It's just such a beautiful blush, such a phenomenal formula, so easy to blend out, just looks gorgeous on the skin. I just have the little mini, which I think was like 20, but it might be like $26 right now, which is really expensive. But I have used the crap out of this because this was going in a project pan, and I use this so much, and I feel like I'm nowhere near hitting pan. So highly recommend the Mood Exposure blush by Hourglass. And then my number 1 blush, I feel like, is not going to be a surprise to many. It is the Buxom Wanderlust blush, and I have mine in the shade Seychelles, which is this beautiful nude blush. I like bronzy blush. I have been obsessed with this. I am so glad that I picked this up. I honestly picked this up on a whim. I don't know what I would do without this blush in my life. It's so good. I love it so much. Now this is another one that is a little bit glowy, so if you don't like glowy cheeks, you probably aren't gonna like this. But if you like a good glowy, neutral, brownie, bronzy sort of blush, this one 100%. After that, you guys, that is going to conclude me ranking all of my blushes. I'm sorry so much for rambling about being like kind of indecisive or like feeling bad ranking certain blushes low on the list, because like I said, I really love my entire blush collection. I don't know what I would declutter if I had to. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. I'll try and link maybe like my top 10 or top 15 blushes in case you're interested in checking them out. But other than that, I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.